Kirby's brand new 3D adventure is throwing him into a brand new world with brand new friends, familiar faces, but also some faces that we have never seen before in the Kirby franchise, and the big question that's still left on the table. Who is the main antagonist and the main villain behind all of these kidnappings of the Waddle Dees and the disaster all amongst this forgotten land? Of course, Nintendo didn't come out and say this is the main villain. They kind of never do that, but we get a little bit more information from the Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch homepage, and one of the things that it reads is kidnapped Waddle Dees from the Ferocious Beast Pack. So that's the bad guys that we're fighting this time, is the Ferocious Beast Pack, which makes me think all the main villains and big enemies of this game are going to be big animals or creatures like that, like we've seen with the big gorilla. And we get to learn a little bit more about this monkey, and the name of this monkey is Gorimondo, the strong armored beast. So this seems to be like a main area boss, and as you can see on its neck, it has a gold kind of cell for these Waddle Dees where they're locked in, this gold cage. And we only see these gold cages, it seems to be on very specific enemies or very specific areas, which are either the end of a world or the boss of that world. And this is probably the first world, as we see those buildings and the grasslands behind them, and that's the first place that Kirby actually ends up, and we actually get a name of that on the map. But Gorimondo seems to be the protector of this world, and he homes one of those golden cages around his neck, which is going to be a very important detail that we're going to go over here in a bit. The second boss we get to see is a new form of Wispy Woods, being Tropic Woods, the unfriendly Franz. Now, I think that all the beasts in the game will have that beast title, some type of beast, and that kind of confirms once again that the main bosses of this game are going to be animals, but you had to have Wispy Woods in here, which is probably a separate thing entirely. But I thought I would just bring him up just because he is a boss with some more screenshots that we've gotten, and he's probably the main boss of the beach area. We then get a look at what seems to be one more boss, and it's almost impossible to make out what this is. It's some type of kangaroo armadillo dog creature. I don't even know what this is, but it has long claws and its tongue is moving back and forth like it's some type of crazy thing. It actually reminds me of Ripperoo from Crash Bandicoot, like some type of crazy weirded out animal that just needs help in a psycho home or something like that. But this seems to be the main boss of probably the theme park area, as you can see lots of lights, billboard signs, and popcorn signs in the background. But we still haven't seen anything to do with the main villain like we normally do right away. In Kirby Star Allies, we actually saw that it was Highness, and right away we knew in Robobot that there was some type of corporate manager that was above everything and that Susie was working for them. But we don't have a clue this time around, and I have a couple theories that could disappoint some people, but also could just be spot on. The first thing I want to talk about is the cages. They seem to resemble lions. The one on the left is a gray cage that can only host one Waddle Dee, and it's the same thing pretty much as the one on the right, which is a gold one which hosts 3 Waddle Dees. Now the gold one has hands on the side, a crown, and more of a smile lifted up, as the one on the left is more basic, but I do believe they're the same person. Maybe the silver cages are actually the henchmen of this final boss, because the gold cage does look like it's going to be the final boss. It's pretty obvious. You have 2 giant claws. The crown is going to be the king lion. Who's the king of the animals? It's the lion. And who would be the king of the beast pack, or at this game, the ferocious beast pack? It's going to be the king lion. Okay, the lion is the king bad guy here, but that doesn't mean he's actually going to be the main antagonist. Yes, as we know from many Kirby games, that's never the case. Planet Robobot, it wasn't just the Haltman CEO, but it was the actual machine Star Dream that started all this chaos in the first place. And we thought Landia, the 4-headed dragon, would be the main antagonist of Kirby Return to Dreamland, but it wasn't. It was your best friend Magolor. Well, we have 2 options here. A, the main antagonist could be somebody we still haven't seen that's not even the lion. It could be somebody else that's ahead of him or somebody that's going to overthrow him. And one option that I thought of is maybe a giant crow. Crows seem to all work for this lion, as they're always the ones that are carrying these cages around, which makes me wonder if maybe there's a leader of the crows that might rise up and take down this lion. There could be some type of beef within the villain organization, and maybe these crows will rise up and be somebody else. I feel like there's just too important to not have a bigger role. Or maybe there's just a giant crow as a boss, and they're still working for the giant lion or whatever that's the main boss. But if that's still not the case, there's still an option B. And most of you guys will not want to hear this one, because it deals with Kirby's new buddy. Elfilin. Elfilin is Kirby's new sidekick in this game, and we know that Kirby always has some type of fairy or something alongside him throughout the game, or some type of new partner outside of the main characters that he normally has. But Elfilin is a little mysterious to me, and I know a lot of people on Twitter has said this, but let me actually explain why Elfilin is so mysterious, and not just some fake calls. So once again, some people online have called out that Kirby has had some friends in the past that hasn't actually been that friendly at the end of the game. And on the main website, it also says something very interesting. If you continue to read that full sentence completely, it says, save the kidnapped Waddle Dees from the ferocious beast pack alongside the mysterious Elfilin. Why would Nintendo describe Elfilin that way, instead of just saying, just go along your new buddy, Elfilin, the cute fairy or something? You know what I mean? Like, they've never really quite described somebody like this, and it leads me to be suspicious. Now, once again, let's take a little blast of the past and look at what Kirby has dealt with before. In Kirby Superstar, he met Marx one day and felt that Marx had good intentions to help everybody out because the Sun and Moon were fighting and he knew exactly how to fix it. But later on, we find out that Marx actually was the one that caused the Sun and Moon to fight in order to find a way to the Galactic Nova to make a wish because he was power hungry and evil this whole time. But look at him, he's a little bouncy boy on a ball. There's no way he could have been evil, right? And then in Kirby Return to Dreamland, we had Magolor, which was a friendly little alien that crashed his ship from outer space, but then we found out he was also power hungry and wanted the crown from Landia in order to become an absolutely terrifying creature and destroy all of humanity as he knew it. But he was just a nice little creature, right? So do I trust this little thing? No, not at all. Now to be fair, we have had some good partners as well. We had Elfilin from Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, which actually seemed to be pretty normal. We had Ribbon from Kirby 64, which actually was a big help. Even Susie was a villain and then eventually turned good in Kirby Planet Robobot. And we actually had some flower people from Kirby Triple Deluxe that turned out to be good as well. And even Taranza turned out to be a villain that turned good. So what if this lion was actually a good guy and being framed by Elfilin? It could happen. Now, a lot of people bring up the scenes of Elfilin being kidnapped, and I get it, that does look kind of suspicious, but it could happen. Hear me out. So there's a scene where it looks like a fake Elfilin is caught in order to throw Kirby off, and now Kirby has to fight some other type of creature or something like that. What if Elfilin did that? You know, what if Elfilin's the one pulling the strings behind that and tricking Kirby? Then we have a scene where Elfilin is actually captured, and I think this is a scene in the very beginning of the game. I think this is the first time Kirby actually frees Elfilin and saves it, and I think maybe this could be on purpose. Maybe it put itself in here in order to show Kirby that it's fine. After all, Magolor did crash his ship and looked like he was in a distress until eventually he finds out that he was just trying to get this crown in order to become all evil. Maybe Elfilin made all of these cages and is doing all this to trick Kirby into thinking that this Lion King is actually the bad guy, but maybe it's like a little prince cub or something that has just never done anything wrong and is being completely fooled by Elfilin. Think about that. Somebody else I'll bring up is Morpho Knight, because Morpho Knight was really just a butterfly that followed around Kirby and his friends throughout the entire course of the game. And Elfilin does look like some type of form of butterfly. And maybe it looks like Nintendo is building up this all-star crazy story with Morpho Knight, because this was a long process of this butterfly being within the series, ever since the very beginning, and it seems like it just keeps following Kirby and its friends, and we finally get to see it revealed in Kirby Star Allies. So, what if this butterfly has more of a story that leads up to like a later Kirby game or something? Maybe we find out that Elfilin is one of those butterflies that wherever it came from is able to control people and turn them into massive beings of themselves like it did Galactonite. So who knows, maybe there's some type of grand story that kind of continues on after the game is over. I can't wait to see what else is to come. All I'm saying is, look, you can't always trust everybody. Every now and then there's somebody out there trying to trick you and hurt you, and all I know is 1 minute you'll see Elfilin looking like this, and Kirby will turn around, and then boom, this is what we have. So I do think the story goes a lot deeper than what we might see on paper, and I think they want us just to believe that this lion is going to be the main antagonist. Or maybe it is, who knows? But we know Kirby games love to go extremely deep and creepy at the very end of the game with some type of absolute god of a being, and Kirby has to defeat it, making Kirby the greatest hero of all time. But let me know in the comments down below what you think. Who do you think the main antagonist is this time around? And do you think Elfilin could actually be a villain or just another little fairy sidekick for Kirby? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed today's video, please stop what you're doing. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Kirby and the Forgotten Land and all things Nintendo in general. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.